Shalom and good evening, everyone. I am coming up here to share with you a word, a message that our Father had for us during this time at the beginning of His year. And this message does pertain to the Passover, known as Peshat, which will go into your Feast of Unleavened Bread. And this message is very important as well. There will be other messages to come after this. It's another one, but due to time, I can't combine both of them together. But what you see before you is dealing with the walls of Jericho coming down, and you probably saying, "What that has to do with the Passover?" A lot, and you'll see why as we go into some records, and it's how can I put this into words, y'all? When I read it and reviewed it again, y'all, things was popping out. And the Father wants you to understand why He command the Israelites that the world today call Jews, who also known as Hebrews, also known as Judeans, whether you are of Northern Kingdom or Southern Kingdom. Um, there's a message within this. And this is not being on the time. I'll be talking about the walls of Jericho because it's a lot more that pertains to this, but unfortunately I can't put it all in this video. So today we're just gonna touch on the highlights. So you will have this to study in the 8 days, because remember, this is our meat. Well, in other words, this is our bread. This is our wine. This is all the offerings that makes up Peshat, that makes up the Feast of Unleavened Bread. For this is the time that the Father wants you to submerge yourself in His living word and to understand what is Passover, what is Peshat, what is the Feast of Unleavened Bread, what did we did on what did we do on these holy days, these 8 days of celebration? What are the message or the mystery that this holy feast is supposed to teach us? As the Father been having me on this journey, y'all, it's so much that the Father is revealing, but unfortunately we have not graduated. A lot of us are still operating in the carnal mindset and not operating in the spirit now. um a lot of us are not being taught the spiritual things. It's just, I can just go on and on, but I want to go ahead and get to the message. Okay, so what you see here before you is a picture of the walls of Jericho. So this is something to add to your list during your time of feasting, during your time of, well, feasting upon the living word, getting understanding about Passover and how it relates to us, as well as to Yahusha HaMashiach, as well as to our Father in heaven, Yahuwah, as well as to all those biblical prophecy. What does this mean? Now, as you see in this picture here, it says, the walls of Jericho. The people came to a city called Jericho. Yahuwah told Joshua to march with his men around the city. After 7 days, the wall fell down, and the Israelites went into the city. That is coming from Joshua chapter 5, verse 13, and chapter 6, verse 27. So starting Joshua chapter 5 to Joshua chapter 6. That's something you want to add to your list to study. Also, before we start, let me get this out the way because I may be sharing some copyright material with you. So the title of this message for tonight is Passover Message 1. Okay, so that means some more messages will be coming out, y'all. Passover Message 1. Walls of Jericho falling down. Okay, walls of Jericho falling down. So when you go to the video description box, it's very important that y'all listen to YAHUAH prophetic message. Again, it does relate to Passover as well, and you'll see why. But please listen to YAHUAH prophetic messages. Just like in the days of old, He has spoke through His prophets and prophetess. He is doing that again today. Father is the same. He does not change. And only thing I can say is I see history repeating itself. I see many are not listening to the prophets and prophetess of Yah. And how we know, because I'm telling you, when you of Yah, many don't listen. They will ignore you. Okay. All right. But anyway, just back then, just as now, he is having us to speak unto you so you can be prepared for what is coming. Many are not prepared. I don't care if you are awakened Israelite or awakened Gentile or whether you are unawakened. Okay. Many are still not prepared for what is coming. Now, when you check the video description box, besides of Yahuwah prophetic messages, please listen to that. I will also list the calendar link from last year. This is the calendar of 2021 to 2022. For when you open this calendar, it gives you a good foundation to to know what to study from month to month in the Most High calendar. Now, remember, our Father calendar is different from the heathens calendar known as the Romans calendar, and today they call it the Gregorian calendar. That is the fourth beast calendar. That is what Daniel was prophesying unto you. And when you read the living word, which today they call the Holy Bible, it would tell you that our Father's calendar consists of three lights, which are the sun, the moon, and Mazzaroth. Mazzaroth is the Hebrew word for the 12 signs that the Gentiles today call the zodiac or the 12 star constellation. So when you study the Romans calendar of today, you will see it's not in line with the heavens. They do not follow the heavens. They're following something else. So you cannot use that calendar at all to understand the Bible. As well, you cannot use that calendar to know when his new moon days and his Sabbath days and his holy feast days are, because y'all in history they cannot even do simple math correctly. Yes, you will see that it's all on the channel. And also check the video description box for the proof and evidence of what I'm telling you. Okay. So I want you to click on the link dealing with the calendar. There's a Google link dealing with this calendar. And when you open up, you're gonna have to scroll down because like I said, this is a year worth of calendar information. But when you scroll down to the month of EV right here, this is what I'm talking about. When you scroll down here, you're going to see a list of scriptures there. Okay. That is just a foundation for you to build up upon because what I'm sharing with you is just a little piece of the pie or a sliver of the pie. This is something to build your foundation upon. So when you look at the scriptures, there's many things that you can read and study during the time of Peshat. Some of you may not be aware that now for the Passover, you don't have to worry about the lamb or the wine or the bread if you don't have those things. Because guess what? Yahusha HaMashiach are those things. What Father needs for you to do, He needs for you to get understanding of these things. He needs for you to read the Word and study it from the beginning of the book to the end of the book. Okay? Because when you study these things, they begin to implant in the hearts. And when they begin to implant in the heart, then it can be manifested on the outside into the physical. Mysteries that I speak unto you. Because when you understand the new covenant and when you understand what Yahushua HaMashiach established for you, then you understand why we can keep everything perfectly in the fourth beast kingdom, whether you have a lamb or not, whether you have the wine or the bread or not, you are still covered. Mysteries that I speak unto you. Because when you understand what the new covenant is doing, it is tying you over until that is which is to come forth. Because that is with to come, we're going to keep all these things by our hand. But right now you in the fourth beast kingdom and they have set stumbling blocks unto you. So Father said, for my children, I have prepared unto you a better covenant that's more excellent than the first. Therefore the enemy or the children of darkness cannot come against you and keep you from the kingdom of heaven. Again, mysteries that I speak unto you. All right. All right. So when you click on that calendar, y'all, it's a lot of, good biblical events that I want you to pay attention to in this calendar, such as dealing with Noah, such as dealing with the feast of dedication on Hanukkah in the days of Moses. Yes. But one of the things I want to point out to you that aligns with the Peshat, with the Passover day, that is the day when the manna ceased in the days of Joshua. It aligns up perfectly on the day when Yahusha HaMashiach resurrected from the grave. Oh yes, I'm telling y'all, it aligns perfectly. Okay, and there's some other things that's listed too up here on this calendar for you to review, and it's free unto you. Just remember that the Gregorian dates on this calendar is different because our year now has started from 2022 in the heathen month known as April, and it will be ending in the next year of 2023. Okay, so just keep that in mind. All right, let's get right to it. So when you go to this calendar month known as Eviv, I want you to go to the area where you see my cursor that says for scriptures. And I want you to click on the link right here that follows after these words. Walls of Jericho. We go on to Josephus, Antiquities chapter 5. Book 5, chapter 1, section 5. So we're going to click on this link here. And you're going to see why it is so important. And once that open, I want you to go ahead and get your paper and pen because you're going to take some notes in this one. Okay? So we're in book 5, we're in chapter 1, and we'll go to section 5. Now, while the Israelites did this, I want to try to read higher up because it does talk about the manner. But you know what? Yes, let us read higher up so we can set the scene. Okay? We'll start in section 4. So the Hebrews went on further 50 furlongs and pitched their camp at the distance of 10 furlongs from Jericho. But Joshua built an altar of those stones, which all the heads of the tribes, at the command of the prophets. There you go, y'all. Even the prophets, okay? At the command of the prophets. Why? Because they are the mouthpiece of Yah. Remember what Torah say about the prophets. Remember what Moshe told us about the prophets. Okay? At the command of the prophets, had taken out of the deep, to be afterwards a memorial of the division of the stream of this river, and upon it offer sacrifice to Yahuwah, and in that place celebrate the Passover, and had great plenty of all things which they wanted hitherto. For they reaped the corn of the Canaanites, which was now ripe, and took other things as prey. For then it was their former food, which was manna, of which they had eaten 40 years, failed them. Now, to get more details about the manna, you're going to have to read the book of Joshua, chapter 5, and you will see that when the manna ceased, it fell on the third day, which was the Aviv 16th. Okay? Now we're going to go to number 5. Number 5, before we begin, the Father is telling me to remind you during the time of his shop, we deal with what the flat bread that's made with no leaven. As I had shared with you before, but those who are new and that's watching this for the first time, he is telling me to remind you, become like that fat bread with no leaven. He needs for you to empty yourself, empty your mind of all the things that you think you know, so that way he can fill you with his spirit, just like he did on the day of Shavuot, the day of Pentecost. Okay, so you will have his knowledge, his wisdom, and his understanding. For it's not the same as your knowledge and wisdom. Okay, it's completely different. For as the prophet Isaiah said unto us, that Yahuwah said that his ways and his thoughts is not the same as our ways and thoughts, y'all. I'm telling y'all, because my walk with him, I'm seeing how he thinks, and I'm saying, Father, now I get it. Now I see it the way you see it. See, he needs for you to humble yourself, to unharden your heart, and forget, not, well, how can I say? Put aside what you think you know. Okay? Come off that pedestal or that platform or that status and humble yourself and allow the Spirit of Yah to come in and have his way with you. Because as it's written, he said what? His comforter shall teach us all things. 1 John chapter 2. Okay. Now we can go to 5. Now, while the Israelites did this, the Canaanites did not attack them, but kept themselves quiet within their own walls. Joshua resolved to besiege them. So on the first day of the feast of the Passover, do y'all hear that? This is something that those have a copy of Josephus. You want to underline this. So on the first day of the feast of the Passover, what's that first day? Aviv 14. Aviv 14. Okay. Now some of y'all might say, why in the world would the Father command him to do this on his holy day? We're going to keep reading. You're going to see why. So on the first day of the feast of the Passover, the priests carried the ark round about with some part of the armed men to be a guard to it. Father's telling me you need to go back to Torah and review what was in that ark. What was in that ark, y'all? Because it represents something. Okay, let us keep going. These priests went forward, blowing with their 7 trumpets. Underline this 7 trumpets. Because we know trumpets is to announce something is coming. Okay? And you know how the Father is 7 is what? A holy number to him. It's a sanctified number to him. Go back to Genesis chapter 2 because you will see this number 7 being repeated throughout the whole living word. But Father is telling us something here. He speaks through numbers. But let us keep going. Oh, Father's telling me to give you the breakdown of 7. Okay, 7 is sanctification, perfection, rest, which is Sabbath, to be upright. I'm trying to think. It's something else dealing with that. Father, I don't want to give that right now. Because if I give that right now, it's going to kind of spoil thing. But put this down to the side, y'all. I got some more to add to 7. Okay? Because not only do it pertains to the Father, but it pertains to the Holy One that would come in his name. Who is that Holy One that comes from the east that bear his name? Let us keep going, okay? Get you a little hint on that one. All right. So they were blowing with their 7 trumpets and exhorted the army to be of good courage and went round about the city. So they went round about the city, like, okay, and blowing 7 trumpets. All right. With the Senate following them. And when the priests had only blown with the trumpets, for they did nothing more at all, they returned to the camps. And see, so you don't see no work involved, y'all. It's no labor or strenuous thing going on here. Take that as a note. This to see what Father's doing here. Okay? Let us keep going. What day did they start, y'all? In V14. All right. And when they had done this for 6 days, on the 7th day, do y'all hear this? On the 7th day, Joshua gathered the armed men and all the people together and told them these good tidings, that the city should now be taken, since YAHUAH will on that day give it them by the falling down of the walls, and this of their own accord and without labor. Underline that. This is what I'm talking about, because I know some of y'all probably wonder why would he had them do this on his holy feasts, right? On his days of celebration. So when we look at Aviv 14, let's count out these 7 days. We got the 14th, the 15th, the 16th, the 17th, the 18th, the 19th, and the 20th day. Because we know the last day is what? The 21st day, which is a holy convocation day. So it fell on the 20th day, the 7th day. And notice here that Yahuwah would give them the city. They don't have to do nothing. Yahuwah, their power, is going to give them the city. And how he did it? he caused the walls to come tumbling down. They didn't have to what? Labor here, y'all. Okay, on the seventh day. See how that's lining up? The day, like seven represent rest. Okay, let's keep going. However, he charged them to kill everyone they should take. Let me make sure I read this right. However, they charged. However, he charged them to kill everyone they should take. Now listen to this, y'all. He's giving them the command to kill everyone in that city and not to abstain from the slaughter of their enemies. Do y'all hear this? Because y'all need to really hear this, because a lot of people think our Father is just a peace-loving God, but they don't understand He's also a God of war. Okay? You got to ask yourself, why would the Father command the Israelites to kill everyone that city? That's mean man, woman, and child. Why would He do that? Let us keep reading. And not to abstain from the slaughter of their enemies, either for weariness or for pity. There's no pity, y'all, no grace, no mercy here. And not to fall on the spoil and be thereby diverted from pursuing their enemies as they ran away, but to destroy all the animals. Do y'all see that? Even the animals included. So we got man, woman, child, and beast. He said, do not take your eye off from slaughtering them. Show no mercy, show no pity. Okay? Because this what's happening at Jericho, y'all, is a message of what is yet to come. All right? Because many don't know him. All right, let's keep going. So they have to also destroy all the animals. And in addition to that, and to take nothing for their own peculiar advantage. Now, do y'all see that? He said, take nothing. It's a reason. When you begin to understand the Father, y'all, the carnal is tied with the spiritual. When you begin to understand and do a study about the Canaanites, you will see why the Father commanded them not to do this, because you got to understand whom the Canaanites served and worship. It goes deep. Okay? And many people don't understand about the spirits and the angels, the principalities. Many people don't believe in that stuff, but I'm telling y'all, it's real. I had my share of it. I'm telling you, it's real. Okay, let us keep reading. He commanded them also to bring together all the silver and gold. You want to underline this. Now you need to ask yourself, why would our Father command them to bring all the silver and gold? Because everything else we read above, he said, what? Take nothing. Okay, we're going to find out. So let me highlight this. He commanded them also to bring all the silver and gold, that it might be set apart as the first fruits unto Yah. Do y'all hear that? So all the silver and gold is taken to be set apart as first fruits unto Yah, out of this glorious exploit, as having gotten them from the city they first took. Only that they should save Rahab and her kindred alive, because of the oath which the spy has sworn to her. Now we know about oaths. Go back to Torah to understand they had to be kept. But Rahab is special, for her name is mentioned again in the gospel. She is a Gentile, and she represents of those who also take on hold to the covenant and keep my Father's way will be received, because Father has no respect of persons, as written by the prophets too. What's done in the old is done in the new too, y'all. Remember when the Israelites first came out, the strangers came out behind them, and they also took a hold to the covenant. And the law says what goes for the Israelite, the Jew, also goes for the Gentile that sojourn with them. All right, but let's get back to this mystery now. Here's the thing. This biblical event ties into a future prophecy. Let's start with the key words that I told y'all to underline. Okay, we already got the dates. So he had them to go around the city 7 times, blowing 7 trumpets. And notice that the people didn't have to labor or do anything strenuous to besiege this city, because y'all what's coming is going to be the same for his people. We won't have to do anything. Our Father is our avenger, and he will conquer this world and take it from the fourth beast. We will not have to labor. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be easily given back unto us by our Father's power. Okay? Let us keep going. And then we see the number 7. So let me talk about the number 7, because you're going to see a lot of it in Torah and throughout the Bible and others and other sacred books. But when you begin to study the atonement in Leviticus 16 and 17, one of the things that the priest does, that he would take the blood and he would sprinkle it towards the east 7 times. For the 7 times represent the Holy One who would come from the east, that bared his father's name, and that is Yahusha HaMashiach. Why do you think Joshua has the same name as the Messiah? When you study the correct translation from Hebrew to the Greek to the Latin to the English, everything happened for a reason, because this big event is telling you something that would take place, and that is what yet to come. Not only what his son would do, but also what would take place unto us. Okay? Because now we get into this mystery that the Father wants you to see. And I want you to listen up, Israelites, because this pertains to you. Okay? Listen up. Now, when you read this passage here, when the Father commanded them like to take nothing, but to only to keep the silver and gold and to bring it unto him. But notice that the silver and gold that they collected had to be set apart. What? And we know set apart means holy, because the silver and gold was going to be the first fruits unto Yah. Now, for those who are read and study, this should remind you something that the prophet have foretold unto you that is happening to us now. Now we haven't got to the fulfillment of it, but it be getting to the closing in soon. Okay, let's go to this prophet here. Let's go to the book of Zechariah, chapter 8. And I know most of you might know this prophecy, but we're gonna still read these scriptures, okay? All right, I'm gonna read the chapter summary for you. It said the restoration of Jerusalem, known as Jerusalem. They are encouraged to the building by Yahuwah's favor to them. Good works are required of them. Joy and enlargement are promised. Okay, so we're gonna go down to I think it's 13, but let me check. It's a little bit further down. I got my numbers reversed. It's not chapter 8, I believe, but let me make sure before I leave here. No, it's not chapter 8. I have my numbers reversed. I do that sometimes. Forgive me, y'all. Okay. Zechariah chapter 13. Okay, here we go. For it says that the fountain of purgation for Jerusalem from idolatry and false prophecy, the death of the Messiah, and the trial of a third part. So now we're going, I believe it's verse 8 or verse 7. So we're going to start from verse 7 and we're going to reverse down to verse 9. And we're going to see how this tie into the walls of Jericho pertaining to the silver and gold as being set apart and the first fruits unto Yah. So they are dedicated. That silver and gold is dedicated unto Yah. And notice it's the first fruits. Okay. Verse 7. Awake, O sword, against my shepherd, and against the man that is my fellow, saith Yahuwah of hosts. Smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered, and I will turn my hand upon the little ones. So when you read that verse in chapter verse 7, here go the precepts. We know that's dealing with Yahusha HaMashiach being crucified upon the cross, and like he had prophesied unto us, once he is removed from this world, okay, his sheep will be scattered, and we have seen that evident today. We are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Okay, let us continue to read. Verse 8, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith Yahuwah, so in all the land, so in all the earth, saith Yahuwah, two parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third part shall be left therein. So we know we are talking about the remnant, because unfortunately many Israelites love this world too much, or won't listen to Yah, okay, or won't listen to the prophets or listen to the living word. They're not taking heed to what is coming, okay. So only we see only a third is going to make it, all right. And just because you awaken, that don't mean you are met in that third. We all have to work at our salvation, okay. Do not allow the spirit of pride to come upon you. Keep yourself humble and pray that you are worthy to be received in his kingdom, all right. Okay, verse 9. Now, this is the part you want to listen up to. You're going to see how it lines up to the walls of Jericho, with that silver and gold being the first fruits. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. So remember what Yahushua HaMashiach prophesies unto us in Matthew 24. He says that we will go through a tribulation. Once he is taken, we will go through a tribulation. And that's dealing with the tribulation of the Israelites, the tribulation of the Jews. There are other books that will confirm what I'm saying to you, what Matthew 24 is talking about. Even I think it's John chapter 16, verse 32 will also confirm what I'm talking about. Okay? Because fire is a symbolic or representing your trials and tribulation that we're going through now on this earth. And when you're going through these trials and tribulations, just like what Job went through, okay, it is to what? Refine you. That means to remove the impurities in you, to keep you from committing the sins and transgression, and to remove those things that has hardened your heart, that would keep you from bearing the fruits of the Spirit that is written in Galatians 5. Lord, love, joy, peace, long suffering, temperance. Do y'all remember those? So this is the purpose of your trial and tribulation. This is the purpose of you going through the fire, because the potter is molding and shaping you, but you are his clay, into a prophetic work. Do y'all hear that? Prophetic or perfection. Okay? Because when you understand the beginning of the plan, when he made Adam, who are male and female, Adam and Eve, when he made Adam, they was perfect in his eyes. Okay? And if they had not sinned and transgressed, they would have entered into his rest. Like I say, you got to understand that 7th day, what that means. But you know what happened? Satan was envious of them, so he tricked them by going through our mother Eve. Okay? So he tricked our mother, and then the fall of man came. Okay? But even then, Yahuwah was looking for our parents to take ownership for what they did. Not to blame one another. In other words, man don't blame female, and female didn't blame, she ain't supposed to blame the serpent. The Father was looking for us to take accountability for our action, because Adam knew the command. If you go back and read the passage, you will see that he was there. Take your time. He was there, so he knew what that fruit was. But he listened to his wife. And then Eve listened to the serpent. But when you read the scriptures, you will learn that that she was actually deceived. That means a truth was mixed with a lie. Okay. But you will learn that it was Satan himself who entered into the serpent. Okay. Because he was envious of them. He hated them. Again, remember, we are made in our Father's image. We was his prized possession. Okay. So with this verse here, it said the third part came through fire. So we would be like silver that is refined and gold that is tried. So all the things that has caused your heart to be hardened and defiled, because when we enter into these holy days and holy feast days, many of you are not aware that if you have things in your heart that will defile you, you are already committing a sin or transgression against Yah by keeping his holy days, because he said, do no evil on my day. Okay, we are to do good in his sight. All right. So when you have things in your heart that is not of Yah, you are already defiled. Okay. It's just like having unclean hands and eating something that is clean. Do you see what I'm saying? That's an analogy I'm giving you. This is why the Messiah said it's not that it's not that unwashed hands will make you defile or unclean. It's what comes out of your mouth, that he's talking about your heart, your thoughts. Okay? This is what can keep you out of the kingdom. Mhm. Mhm. Because it starts on the inside first. That's where everything starts. Sin starts on the inside, and then it begins to show itself in the physical. Okay? So here this is why you seeing him to command the Israelites to take the silver and the gold. And the silver and the gold is to represent the 1/3 who would make it through the trial and tribulation, because they would not have hardened hearts. Okay? They would have a pure heart unto Yah. Something to really think about as you partake in the Peshat, in the Passover, in the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Let us go on to read. So he says, we'll try them as gold is tried. Okay? They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, Yahuwah is my Elohim. So with the three groups, we got the 144, we have the bride of the Messiah, and we have the nation of Israel. So y'all, when you look at the biblical prophecy, it said that Israel is like the sand of the sea. We are numerous. We are a large group of people, and we have been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. But only a third of us gonna make it? That's something to think about. And I don't care if you are awakened or not awakened. That's something to think about. Because remember what the scripture said, narrow is the way, but wide is the gate. Not too many people gonna get it. Wow. Something to really think about. Now you begin to see why during the Peshat, we need to look at the biblical event of the walls of Jericho, and why the Father command the Israelites to what's the word I'm looking for here? To do it on the Passover day, to start it on the Passover day, because it's dealing with us becoming the first fruits, to become set apart, to holy unto Yah. But it even goes a little further. It talks about the Holy One that would come in his name to deliver us from the beast, from his kingdom. So I got a little bit more. We're going to keep on reading. But let me go to this verse here in Matthew chapter 8, because it's going to tie into what Zechariah was prophesied in 13. Because many Israelites would not believe that this is going to happen to them. But the prophets talks about this. Even Enoch talks about this. Okay. So in Matthew chapter 8, this is a very good chapter to read. Okay. I'm going to read the chapter summary unto you. It says, the Messiah cleanses the leopard, healeth the Syrian servant, Peter's mother-in-law, and many other diseased. Show how he is to be followed, still the tempest on the sea, driveth the devils out of 2 men possessed, and suffered them to go into the swine. So the verse we're going to look at, and it's still going to deal with about the silver and gold. Okay, and then with Zechariah prophesying about how two stirred will die, and the 1/3 will come through. They're gonna make it because they're gonna be refined as silver and tried as gold. They're gonna come through the fire. Okay, they're gonna make it through the trials and tribulation. All right. This is what Yahusha said unto the centurion. If you study about the centurion, you're gonna learn he is a Gentile. And this Gentile does something very amazing, okay? Because notice what the Messiah says about him. Like I said, you got to read the whole chapter for yourself, but I'm just going to get to the highlight. In verse 10, it says that when Yahusha heard it, he marveled and said to them that follow, Very I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. So he wasn't talking about Israelite. He was amazed about this centurion who is a Gentile of what he proclaimed or what he asked the Messiah to do, and he asked him to do in great faith that even the Messiah's own people did not exhibit unto him that kind of faith. So again, I'm giving a hint unto you, Israelites, as well as to you, Gentiles. What is happening now in this world that we are in now, in this fourth beast kingdom, you're going to need to walk in faith. You're going to need to unharden your heart. And you're going to need to allow the spirit of the spirit of Yah to lead you and guide you in all things. Also to purge you, to refine you, to mold and shape you into that child of light that Yahuwah our Father needs you to be. Okay? Verse 11. Here go to highlight. Now I want you to underline this. We in Matthew chapter 8. Okay? Verse 11, we read verse 11 and 12. And I say unto you that many shall come from the east and west, and shall sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. Do y'all hear? This is a future prophecy. So you're going to have many coming from the east and the west, and they're going to come and sit down, and they're going to come and fellowship with Abraham, Isaac, Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. Okay? Notice what's going to take place. But the children of the kingdom shall be cast out into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of the teeth. Now, to understand what the Messiah is saying here, do you hear me, Israelites? Many of you are not going to make it into the kingdom, even though the Father made the kingdom for you, based on what the prophets tells you in Ezra chapter 2. You know, he made this kingdom for you. But just as the Messiah prophesies about you, dealing with the 10 virgins and dealing with the king's feast. That's in the book of Matthew. To see what happened. Because of your unfaithfulness and your hardened heart and your stiff neck and being stiff necked, you're going to be cut off from the kingdom. And when you see what the Father has, when you see what the Father had for you in the kingdom, it's going to hurt you so bad. Because that's what you gave up. Because of your being stiff necked and hard hearted and not listening. See, what we're going through now, Israelites, is to not make you bitter, but to learn from the mistakes of your ancestors. But many of you are not getting it. I pray that it won't be too late. I pray that you'll be worthy to be received in his kingdom. But you know, Father has the last say, for Father know all his creations very well. Please do not take this message of warning lightly. And the last book we're going to go to that's going to tie into this message about the walls of Jericho, dealing with the silver and the gold and the seven trumpets. And on the seventh day, the walls came down, and the people they had to labor for that because their power was with them and walking with them. And is what ties into that when we look at the prophecy that was given to Daniel in chapter 2. So I'm going to read a part of Daniel talking to King Nebuchadnezzar, giving the interpretation of his dream. Okay, so we're going to start in verse 36. And I'm reading from the King James 6:11. Please check the video description box to have access to this Bible. It is free unto you. And also the calendar is free unto you that we have last year. Okay. Now, as far as the calendar for this year, like I said, I'm not doing any more new moon reports. But the channel has given you the foundation where you can do this yourself now. You can start keeping your own calendar record now. All right. Verse 36. This is the dream, and we would tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, art a king of kings. For Yahuwah of heaven had given thee a kingdom, power and strength and glory. And whatsoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field, and the fowls of the heaven hath he given into thy hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. And after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. So I want to give you this nugget. The brass is the Greeks. Okay? And the kingdoms before the Greeks had what your Persian means. All right, verse 41. Whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron. The kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with murky clay. And as the toes of the feet was part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest irons mixed with murky clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. Do y'all hear that? They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. They're going to mingle themselves with Adam. Some of you need to pay attention here. Mysteries that I speak unto you. It's really not a mystery, but because of some hardness of the heart, they can't see it. But it's there. All right, let's keep going. But they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in the days of these kings shall Yahuwah of heaven set up a kingdom. Do y'all hear that? His kingdom is coming. Our Father's kingdom is coming. Hallelujah. That's what the wall of Jericho let us know, that the fourth beast kingdom's coming down. It's coming down by the Holy One that comes in our Father's name. Who is that blessed one that comes from the east that bear his name? And that is you, Yahusha HaMashiach. But let us keep going. So Yahuwah of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom, do y'all hear that? His kingdom will never be destroyed. So that means the kingdom that's coming is for eternity. All right. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people. Do y'all hear that? And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. All right. It's okay. It's not going to be conquered, y'all. Okay. What's coming is permanent. Let us keep reading, because this for the part you're gonna get good. For as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands. Who was that stone that was cut out the mountain without hand? Because he was made in the beginning with the Father. And when the Father spoke, he went forth and created what the Father told him to create. Go back to Genesis 1. You'll see it, John chapter 1. But anyway, um, the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it break in pieces the iron. So the stone gonna break the iron in pieces, and the brass, and the clay, and the silver, and the gold. So he's representing all these kingdoms that was before. It's gonna tear it down, because when you study history, when one kingdom conquered another kingdom, it just was a collaboration of that kingdom. and so forth and so forth and so forth. Okay? All right? Because we can see some Babylonian things, we can see some Roman things, we can see some Greek things, we can see some Persian Mede things, even now in this fourth beast kingdom. All right? Okay. So that the stone shall break in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold. The great Yahuwah have made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter, and the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof. So that stone is Yahusha HaMashiach. He's the cornerstone, and the Father has given him all authority in heaven and earth, and the Father had also commanded him to carry out the judgments in the earth. You can read about that. That's either in the book of Mark or the book of John. It's all there. Because did he not tell the disciples, you shall reign with me, judging the 12 tribes of Israel? It's in the book. It also been prophesied that he should sit on his father's throne, King David's throne. He shall what? Raise up the tabernacle of David again. And he's going to reign for 1,000 years. All amazing. So all of this of what we just read, y'all, relates to the walls of Jericho coming down. And we're going to talk more about this, because what I'm giving you is just a sliver of the pie. What is that? Is just to come for me to speak on for you. It's going to be greater, because we're not done with this. But this is something for you to feast upon on during the Passover. I have said enough in this video, y'all. Continue to preach that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, for it's truly at hand. Look at the signs in the heaven and the earth. Look at Genesis 1, verse 14. For his creations are speaking unto us loud and clear, whether it's in heaven or in earth. We just got to recognize the signs, y'all. But Father is telling us to prepare ourselves, to prepare our hearts. Learn what these feast days are teaching us. Look at these biblical events. This is why during that allotted time, the Father had me to walk you through his calendar, teaching you about his calendar. Because what I gave unto you, y'all, is just a small piece. There is more to this. Okay? There's more. But right now, you need to master the foundation. Master the foundation. And once you master the foundation under his spirit, Father will give you more. Okay? I think this was a beautiful passage. It's amazing why you see now why the Father had them to kill everything, man, woman, child, and beast, because to let you know about what's coming upon the earth in Revelation 14, Matthew 13. There can be a great bloodshed, man, woman, child, and beast. Yeah, a lot of killing be going on. Okay? But notice here that his first fruits who are going to be like silver and gold unto him, going to be spared from the reaping and the harvest and the gnashing of teeth. Pray that you are worthy. Get your hearts right. All right, continue to preach that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, for it's true at hand. Make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10. And remember, don't forget about the washing of the feet for your Passover too, okay? Follow the Messiah example, all right? And make sure that they receive the baptism. For the Messiah set the example of the water baptism, the Holy Spirit baptism, and his apostles continued them both. If you have no one to baptize you, guess what? You can exercise your faith. For the water is the second witness in the earth, and as well as the heaven and the earth, they are witnesses unto the Father, and they can report unto him of those who are entered into the renewed marriage, into the new covenant. And the Father has done the same with the Holy Spirit baptism. He has made it easy unto you. But the living words say that all you have to do is ask, and he will give you the Holy Spirit baptism according to your heart, your faith, and your words. Do y'all hear that? According to your what? Your heart, your faith, and your words. Love you all, and shalom, and look forward to message 2 dealing with the Passover. Shalom.